The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
In your view, is what Israel is doing in Gaza a genocide?
In my view, it is absolutely disgraceful, horrible, and I'm doing, as a United States Senator, everything I can to end it. And where I'm sitting is, and I don't know how many people know this, every year the United States provides about $3.5 billion in military aid to Israel. On top of that, there is a bill. I was supposed to be here earlier. couldn't come because a bill came up for not just all for Israel, $95 billion, including $14 billion for Israel. And I have led the opposition to that. I do not want to see the United States complicit in what Netanyahu and his right-wing lunatic friends are doing right now to the Palestinian people. So my job right now is to support what the United Nations is trying to do, have a humanitarian ceasefire, see if we can get the humanitarian aid immediately in there, and work out, as complex and difficult as it is, some type of long-term solution to what's going on there.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you guys had a nice long weekend, enjoyed President's Day. Although I must say President's Day, probably the past 8 years has probably not, well, I think everybody enjoys the day off, but I don't really see much of a celebration of President's Day. Whether that was from 2016 to 20 or 20 to 24, I think each side probably is like, F President's Day, but thank you for the day off. Anyway, oh man, hope you guys are doing well. Seriously, I really do. God, I've definitely just been internalizing a lot of stuff, a lot of just overall stuff, and obviously trying to continue to chart the course for this podcast and chart the course for the videos that I'm trying to do and getting, potentially launching a studio where we can start doing daily video stuff out of. And anyway, a lot of things going on, but obviously, at the forefront of all this is, just the ongoing just turmoil in this world. And so, I started out with that Bernie Sanders clip because, well, I definitely took a break from talking the Israel-Palestine stuff, I guess, consistently. Like I said, I think I have peppered in a few things here and there. But, I did want to re-engage a little bit on that. And I'm going to do it in a unique fashion by really playing some clips from a variety of different people and, just having a discussion about them. Because honestly, I think by discussing things, we can all just get a better understanding of the information. And then really it's up to you to decide, how you feel about it and how you interpret it. And I mean, if you want to pick a side, pick a side. If you don't want to pick a side, don't pick a side. If you want to stay neutral, all that stuff becomes an individual decision. But I think that the only way to get to that decision is to really talk about it and talk about it in a non-emotional, hopefully intelligent way. And so I started off with the Bernie Sanders clip because, Bernie's been an interesting guy in all of this because first of all, he's Jewish. So he's a Jewish American and he really didn't come out saying much of anything at the beginning. If you guys remember, I think I've talked about it a few times. He really didn't necessarily even address the issue. And then he came under a lot of fire from his own staff and really from pretty much all the burners out there who, and by the way, the Bernie Sanders fans call themselves burners. And so he came under fire from all the burners who said, hey man, we roll with you because you're a humanitarian and we feel like you've always been different than the Republicans and the Democrats, and this is why we're with you. But now when it is a humanitarian crisis, and again, this is, I think his staff of close to 300 people all basically threatened to walk out on him if he didn't start addressing the issue. And so he has. He really has. He's been addressing the issue. Now, here's the controversy. He won't say the word genocide. He won't call this a genocide. He won't refer to it when he's asked about it, like in the beginning of this clip. He basically skirts around it and doesn't use that word. He's not going to use that word. So now the question is, does it matter? Are we okay with that? As long as he really is addressing the issue, and he is. You've got to be fair. You got to call a spade a spade. He is absolutely one of, if not the most high-profile senator or politician in the U.S. being critical of Benjamin Netanyahu. And he's absolutely referring to him as right-wing extremists. He always says that, right-wing extremists, which I think is kind of how he refers to the Trump side as well. Which again, ironically, Trump is nowhere to be found supporting Netanyahu. So ironically, him and Bernie seem to be on the same page with this, which is funny. But anyway, so the question becomes, Bernie is being very outspoken against Netanyahu. He's being incredibly outspoken about the aid, the foreign aid that we give Israel, which, by the way, I'm sure most people had no idea we're giving Israel $3.5 billion a year in aid. That's half of the 6.5 or 7 billion in total aid we give to all countries. Half of it goes to Israel, and this has been taking place for I think like 50 years. It's been taking place a long time. So he's calling that out. And he's also calling out the additional $14 to $17 billion that is part of this $98 billion omnibus bill that they're trying to get approved to send more money to Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and then, oh, by the way, a little bit for the southern border, but we're going to call it the Southern Border Bill. I love that. I love how they try to disguise that stuff. But you know what? People are paying attention these days. People are paying attention. I'm paying attention. I never paid attention to this stuff, and now I am. So anyway, to close on Bernie, do you care that he's not going to use the word genocide? I really don't. It's such a fireball of a word. And, at the end of the day, if he is advocating what you would like him to advocate, and that is no foreign aid to Israel, let's be critical of Netanyahu, because again, I think that guy's the problem. I don't think the country of Israel's the problem. I don't think the people, the random people in Israel who, heck, might feel the same way about things as I do, or might feel the same way about things as you do. It's the people in charge. So if he's really, busting Netanyahu's cojones, then let's not be that critical of him because he won't use the word genocide. I don't know. You've got to pick your battles in this stuff. You really do. You've got to pick your battles. And to me, that's a battle I'm willing to give him a pass on, why he doesn't want to use that word. It's fine. It's probably would open him up to so much controversy. So that's fine. Just keep advocating the way you're advocating. And, again, yes, you're not doing everything 100% perfect, but at least you're doing something, unlike, so many others. So anyway, that's Bernie.
But do you buy the South African case at the International Court of Justice that what Israel is doing in Gaza constitutes genocide or genocidal acts?
I think, look, we can argue about definitions. It is horrible. Right now, 29,000 people have been killed, and some 70,000 have been injured. Some 65% of the housing units have been destroyed or damaged.
Oh, I thought we were done with Bernie, but she had some more questions. Anyway, in all seriousness, man, those numbers are insane. 29,000 dead, 60,000 injured. or I'm sorry, 70,000 injured, 65% of the housing destroyed. Think about that. 65% of the housing destroyed.
And I am worried right now, and I almost wonder why I'm in the UK and not back in the US dealing with this stuff, is that we have hundreds of thousands of children are facing starvation. That's what I have to work on right now.
All right, let's keep rolling with this a little. I mean, again, hundreds of thousands of children facing starvation. You know, he is talking about it. He is talking about it. He's not calling it a genocide, but he's talking about it as if it was one. So what do you think about that?
But if one agrees that it is a genocide, it means that other states have a legal right and duty to prevent genocidal acts being carried out.
But see, we can talk about that. But what does that mean? I mean, in real terms? Right now, what I am trying to do is what I think is probably maybe, and I can do it because I'm a senator, you can't. Right now, maybe, if we tell Mr. Netanyahu that he's not getting a check for $10 billion more to continue his aggressive action, he and his right-wing friends may decide it is not a good idea to continue to do that.
I mean, that's a great point. Again, we're back to judging the take. So it comes down to money. You tell Netanyahu, hey, no, we're not giving you $14 billion. And oh, by the way, you're not going to get your $3.5 billion that you've gotten for the past 50 years. You're not getting that for 2024, and you're not getting that for 2025, and that's it. We're cutting you off unless you stop this.
So that's where I am coming from.
In addition to stopping the billions of dollars in military aid that Israel gets from the United States every year, would you back calls for a cultural, sporting, and economic boycott of Israel?
I am nervous about economic boycotts of any country, to be honest with you. But right now, what people want to do, they can do what they want to do. But right now, again, my job as a United States Senator, and I'm kind of leading that effort in the Senate, is to tell Netanyahu that he is not going to get any more U.S. aid.
Okay, so obviously the term genocide, if it really does get, I guess, given to this, technically that should require other countries to step in and do something. But I mean, are they going to? Seriously, think about it. Do you think if that term becomes official, then will that make the United States change course? Will that make England change course? I mean, it's really those two that are, still the tremendous supporters of it. I don't know. But, again, it's like I hate getting caught up on semantics. I mean, I know there's some importance to that, but again, you really do have to pick your battles. A lot of this also comes back to South Africa. I know, I owe that episode. It really does, though, because South Africa was truly called a genocide and an apartheid state, and then that caused sanctions.
Did you feel nervous about the boycott movement against apartheid South Africa? Was that a concern you had at the time?
What I thought that as an apartheid state at that point, it was important to put pressure. But people can do as they want. And that's all.
I wish I could show you this reporter. She looks like she's 15. But man, she is really she's on top of him. And she definitely doesn't let him not answer what she wants to answer. So now listen to this. This is an interesting final question she asks.
Do you think that it's right that British citizens and American citizens can go and fight in the IDF when, as you say, there are such profound humanitarian concerns in Gaza?
Well, I think if British and American people want to do that, I suppose they have the right to do it. It's not something that I've really thought a whole lot about.
Do you think they should have the right?
Look, I think what the Israeli government doing now is horrible. And I'm not quite sure why people would want to be, part of that effort.
All right. That is the end of the Bernie segment. And, I agree with them. I guess if a U.S. citizen or a British citizen wants to join the IDF, I don't know why they would want to do that. Man, that kind of blows me away. Somebody would want to be part of that. I'm sorry. That is off to me. But you know what? I guess that is their God-given right if they choose to do so. All right, so next I'm going to play a few clips from a couple different celebrities. And if you guys have listened to this podcast, you know I'm definitely not really the celebrity star star Fucker. I can't say it, but I can spell it. To me, it's kind of everybody is the same. I really never put anybody on a pedestal. But I guess what I do is doo-doo. I said doo-doo. How old am I? Oh my goodness. Okay, what I do is, I do look for trends. That's what I do with this stuff. I look for trends and I look to see like, okay, who's saying what? And then, can you summarize all that stuff and can you sort of draw something out of that? And you really can. And again, in this situation between Israel and Palestine, Palestinians, Gaza, Hamas, whatever you want to call it. It's like the amount of people over the past 130 days that have just changed their views and, honestly, again, calling a spade, are now very much against Israel and in support of the liberation for the Palestinian people. They're so diverse. I mean, you've got South Africa to Ireland to people in the United States to people inside Israel in Tel Aviv, which is the more liberal city than Jerusalem. You've got people all across the world from all walks of life, famous, not famous, rich, poor, different ethnicities. They speak 100 different languages. They have 100 different cultures and values and belief systems and all of that. And so when that many diverse sets of people come to the same conclusion, that really speaks volumes. It really does. You've got that many diverse people who have really technically not much in common coming to, the same overall conclusion as to what is taking place. I think that is a trend that helps you understand. And quite frankly, like I said, I think it speaks volumes. So let me play this clip from Mark Ruffalo. God, what was he in? Was he in Batman or one of those superhero movies? No, the Hulk. I think he was one of the Hulks, not the original Hulk, like my boy Lou Ferrigno, but one of the Hulks. But Mark Ruffalo has been very outspoken, as has John Cusack, and I've had a couple segments of theirs that I've put on the Deep Shallow Dive Instagram, and man, they have gotten traction. I've got one graphic of Mark Ruffalo from this interview you're about to hear where he says you can't bomb your way to peace. And I think that post by itself has received like almost 60,000 likes and maybe, I don't know, several thousand comments and forwards and all that. But give this a listen.
We can't bomb our ways into peace. And we can't act like what's happening isn't happening. It just doesn't do us service. And it's a scary time, and I just want to state that because so few people are right now.
So whether it's that from Mark Ruffalo or this from Angelina Jolie.
And I really thought that's what it was. I even thought that's what the United Nations was. And I thought, okay, there's some lines in the sand. There's some understanding. We're going to grow and fight for improvements in these areas. And to watch and understand more and more how it's just simply, that's not what it is. That's not the world. The world is not these are human rights. It is, these are human rights sometimes for these people, maybe sometimes for these people, never for these people. Yeah. It's food aid, 6% for these people, 50% for these people. It's justice for these people, but not these people. Accountability for this crime, but not that crime if there's business interest.
So, there's two scenarios or two perspectives that, again, there's hundreds of these. Not as much from the celebrity side, because, man, there's not that many that are quite frankly willing to kind of risk maybe what they have, or maybe risk their employment or risk their status or whatever. But, there are ones that are coming out and they're voicing their opinion. And then when you take that and, when you hear, again, such a diverse spectrum of people that fundamentally don't have anything in common besides their desire for human rights, humanity, empathy, all of that, it really does make you, it gives it weight. It gives it weight, and it lends credence to that take.
Well, I think where we are now is we're witnessing Israel behaving like a rogue state, quite frankly. They're ignoring the International Court of Justice. They seem now to even be ignoring their closest allies in countries like the United States and the UK, who are clearly calling for restraint, looking for the basis of a ceasefire, wanting to work with Israel to bring an end to this savagery that is continuing in Gaza. And I think those of us who contribute to international calls for a ceasefire need to intensify those calls now. It is not acceptable effectively to behave like a monster to defeat a monster, which is what Israel are now doing.
So there's another one, just random dude, Simon Coveney, Minister of Enterprise in Ireland. Again, I could probably play you a million of these. I really could. I could probably play you so many from so many diverse entities and diverse people that are all saying the same thing. The diversity among that constituency, who again doesn't really have any economic or financial or nationalistic thing in common, you know what I mean? But they have, I guess, their humanity in common. All right, well, that is it for today. We're at like 23 minutes. And you know what? I'm going to take us out on a nice note. So this is a new favorite music track for me. It's from an Instagram page called Music Travel Love. Those three words all together. Music Travel Love. So at Music Travel Love. Anyway, I love their version of this. And, in this crazy world we're living in, we definitely can use someone to stand by. So enjoy this. Have a good day, night, and call a spade a spade.
When the night has come, and the land is dark. When the night and the land is dark, has come, and the moon is the only light we'll see. The moon is the only light we will see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Just as long as you stand. So darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Just as long stand by me. As you stand by me. Just as long as you stand by me.
The ending was terrific.
This episode is being brought to you by the upcoming book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You. That's right, Bro wrote a book, and it's coming soon. Stay tuned.